EGM Network.
Hi, welcome to Silver Linings. I am one of your hosts, Janine Barrows, and I am with Raul Perez.
Hello.
And today we are so very lucky to have in our studio Meredith Egan of the United Way of Indian River County. She is their CEO, and she's going to share some information with us that maybe we haven't heard yet. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh, indeed. I've been looking forward to having you in the room and getting some information and learning more about United Way. So I know that you and Raul are not strangers, and he's going to interject a lot today.
Yeah, so I recently joined the United Way as a committee member.
Excited.
Yay.
And actually yesterday was my first meeting, so that was very informative and was great to experience and be a part of the bigger group. So thank you.
We're so happy to have Raul. He's a great addition to our board.
Right. And United Way is not a small group, right? So tell us a little bit before we get into today's topic about you, Meredith, and how you ended up in this role, and then the mission of United Way and how it touches the community members here in Indian River County.
Sure. So I'll start with the mission.
Yay.
So United Way's mission is to improve lives by mobilizing the caring power of the community. So what that means is when we mobilize the caring power of the community, that may mean resources, that may mean manpower, people coming together, raising money, putting partners in place. So it's mobilizing whatever resources are needed to come to the table to solve the community's most complex problems.
That's more than half the battle.
Yes. If we have the right people in the right places, in the right seats, then we'll be able to solve the problem. So I've been in Indian River County about 11 years now, but I've been with the United Way system across the country since 2006.
Oh, wow.
So lots of different United Ways, lots of different communities. They're all different, but one thing remains the same is that we are dedicated to solving the problems of those individual communities with whatever the resources are in that community to bring people together and focus on the areas specifically of health, education, and financial security. That's where we invest in programs, whether through partners or provide direct services ourselves. And most recently, we've added a fourth impact area of community resilience. And that really is that underlying core work to prepare our community, specifically in Florida, for emergencies, whether man-made, whether natural, to really support the underlying network of community capacity to be resilient against whatever our community is facing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of natural events that happen that throw all of us in the same direction and need that guidance. Wow,
Exactly.
We're not always all prepared equally.
Exactly. It means storm preparation, of course, but it also means preparing our nonprofits, improving their capacity, educating them with professional development, doing some training. So it means all manner of things to really just improve our resiliency as a whole.
A deep and far reach.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, it's kind of like what happened last year with Hurricane Milton, and the United Way came in and helped in a lot of different areas.
I remember reading a lot about that.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about how, the United Way helped when the disaster last year happened?
Sure. I like to say that we didn't just react. We jumped in with both feet. Overnight, we were not prepared, frankly. We didn't really even know the level of involvement that we were going to have. It just sort of happened organically. We serve as part of emergency management in a function called ESF 15. It's very technical, but it means that we oversee volunteers and donations in the event of a disaster. Of course, all of Indian River County, all of Florida thought Milton was going to be a non-event. And then surprise, 2-3 o'clock when those alarms started sounding, tornadoes were ripping through Indian River County. And by midnight that night, I had reached out to my board. We had established an emergency fund. Within about 24 hours, we had about $1 million committed.
Wow.
And raised about $2 million in the course of about 2 weeks.
In addition, wow, that's amazing.
We helped stand up what is called a MARC, a multi-agency resource center, that we brought all the community partners together to provide services as a one-stop shop for survivors. We brought FEMA in, helped case manage. We were still doing long-term recovery work. We have a case manager that continues to help with, roof repairs, mold remediation, things that insurance wouldn't cover, people who were uninsured or not insured. So the work hasn't ended there, but it was definitely not something we thought. If you talked to me the first week of October, I wouldn't have thought that we were going to be in the business of emergency management. But it really, our partners do what our partners do best. They may be doing healthcare or providing childcare or helping with food insecurity, but they're squarely focused on their mission. So it's our job to bring in everyone under the tent to the table throughout the network to solve all the problems together. So in the event of a disaster, we need all those partners focused on their individual thing and doing what they do best, but we also need coordination across that system, and that's what United Way does.
And that leads us into my next question. I know over the years, I've worked with a lot of 501c groups, and they always talk about coming to the table to United Way, whether it's to ask for monies, to be audited for how monies are being applied, to be reviewed to determine if they may be a recipient in future years and if their programs are working and blooming. I don't think the general population understands the manner in which United Way is heavily involved in Indian River County. Can you put a little light on that for us?
Sure. I want to start by saying we don't do it alone. We use about 80 to 90 volunteers to go through what we call
easy to organize.
It is not. That is our community impact process. And we have what we call citizens review volunteers. So they don't need to be donors. They don't need to be associated with a funded partner. They can be retired. They can be anyone who's interested in the betterment of our community. And they come to the table and look at grant applications. They do a deep dive into the governance of the 501c3, the bylaws, the structure, then the financials to make sure that the organization is financially secure, has good financial management, systems in place, reserves, things like that. And then they look at the program. So they have to go through the governance and financial stuff before they get to the program. And of course, that's the fun stuff. That's the good stuff. That's the heartwarming, pulls at your heartstrings. You get to go in and see seniors at a day away program or kids in a child care center or an after school program. And that's the fun stuff. How is it being
allocated and is it working hands-on?
We look at the evaluation mechanisms and how they're tracking program outcomes and what changes they're making in behavior.
Now, that's very deep and hands-on, and you're getting your nose and your hands and your feet all involved in these different programs. And the average person listening to us right now is probably wondering, why? Why is United Way involved? Can you explain why?
Sure. So that's really our whole goal is to help. All the money we raise goes to those programs. So we raise just shy of about $3 million, and we invest that money through that citizens review process into those programs.
$3 million you reinvest in oversight into how many programs?
About 49 programs
here in Indian River County. Only here in Indian River County. They have to be
serving Indian River County residents.
That's a big responsibility for this citizen oversight group, right?
Absolutely.
That's a lot of money.
And they're constantly checking in and monitoring and looking over grant reports to make sure people said that they were going to serve 100 people and these behaviors were going to change. They want to know every 6 months that they're serving the right, they're on track.
It's actively being successful.
And it's important to note that the United Way is serving the Indian River County community specifically because you might think the United Way, it's a big...
a national.
Global.
It's a national.
Global, yeah. It is.
And it's good to know that if someone here in Indian River County is wanting to donate or wanting to help, that they're going to be able to see it in their community because it's going right back into their community. They can actually see it. It's not something that, it's out, although it's a great cause, anywhere else, but they can actually see it in their community and how it impacts their children or the elderly or any type of facility that's receiving these funds.
Right. The money we raise here stays here. That's what, we're investing locally, we're raising dollars locally, and it stays invested locally.
I love the oversight. I love that it's local. I love that you all go to the programs, you see them. I have had it's been a lovely opportunity for me over the years to sit on several different boards of directors of 501cs. I have sat before this committee, and you walk in and there is this huge squared off room full of people all sitting at this extensive table, and you have two spots, usually one another person and yourself if you are the two representing, and you go and you're nervous because your program depends on being reevaluated, showing that it's successful and that it's worthy for additional funding throughout future requests in years. And I have to say that experience, I am rarely nervous. That experience left me quite nervous. And they asked a lot of questions. We came prepared. Here's all my financials, the last 2 years looking forward, the anticipated next year. And we thought we were fully prepared. And they asked questions far beyond what we had even anticipated. Simple questions, but things that we didn't think were the point of focus. And what they were doing is they were really kind of pulling back the layers and looking back after we left those experiences, and then you see how it gets allocated. I really can appreciate it as a citizen because you raise these dollars, they come in, and you have a really, really intense responsibility to be sure that they are doing what they were intended for.
Of course, donors are entrusting us with their dollars, whether it's $1 a week from a Publix employee or a major gift from somebody over on the beach side. We treat them equally with the same amount of respect, and we have to assure that we're investing those dollars into the highest and best use that's going to make the biggest impact.
Yeah. And you hold those recipients accountable. And I think that's wonderful. Listen, we are going to talk about some additional things here, but we do need to take a little break. So give us just a minute and we're going to come back. Commercial break.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of in-stock tariff-free coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Dining and bedroom sets, occasional tables, sofas, sleeper sofas, love seats, and chairs in the latest styles and colors from Tommy Bahama, Lexington, Hooker, Four Seasons, Braxton Color, and Capri. We're the outdoor furniture experts and have hundreds of styles of any patio furniture you need, including a gallery of American-made Telescope, Berlin Gardens, and Pollywood, all with no tariff ever. We specialize in fire pits, outdoor rugs, umbrellas, and replacement cushions. Right now, we're having a summer sale with lots of great markdowns and discounts on everything you need for your Florida home, including all pictures, lamps, and accessories half price. Sunshine Furniture, $12.95 US 1 in the Publix Plaza, Vero Beach. Don't forget to visit our outlet store directly across the street, filled with lots of name brand closeouts and sale items. Come in now for our summer sale and visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Thank you. We are so grateful for our commercial sponsors as well as our show sponsors. I would be remiss without giving them a shout out. If you find yourself ever in need of legal assistance, you're looking to put a trust together, real estate, elder law, family law, please consider visiting over at the team Dill, Evans, and Rodeback. They've been in Sebastian for over 30 years. They have a long-standing history, and I promise you they'll treat you like family. On that note, we're back, and we were talking a little bit with Raul and Meredith about what the avenues and how United Way touches different programs that work here in Indian River County at a grassroots level. But there's far more that United Way does. You're not just oversighting where funding goes that you have been so diligent to raise and be gifted to. Of course, that would be anticipated, especially when you're talking about such large amounts of dollars that you're raising and reinvesting back into Indian River County. But you have very distinct programs that are run by United Way that aren't run by a special group or an entity, and so you yourselves allocate the funding for it and you oversight and manage yourselves. And you do so by creating said board of director that we mentioned earlier that Raul had recently joined, and in a way to get down to some really areas that maybe are being overlooked. And so you've seen this need, created some programs, decided how much it's going to cost. Talk to us. Tell us about it. Tell our listeners more.
Well, Meredith, I guess the first one would be access to justice and how that impacts our community and how the United Way helps in that?
Sure. So, rewind back to 2020. In the midst of COVID, we were seeing a lot of evictions. And we knew that it was a gap in service, exactly like you said. There really wasn't a way to service people here in Indian River County that were looking for legal aid. So we created what at that time was called the HEART program. So it was housing eviction mediation that we pulled together with some attorneys through the Bar Association that volunteered to help people walk through eviction mediation.
I love those volunteering attorneys.
They're wonderful. We love them too. And then that sort of exposed the fact that our community really was a legal desert, a legal aid desert. So we started to look around the state and see what other communities were doing to solve this problem. And we came across a couple communities, both here in Florida and in the Midwest, that had opened what are called self-help centers. So that is really that first line of defense for people who are looking for pro se help. So they're looking to represent themselves. So we
I was going to say, not everybody knows what that means.
I didn't know what pro se meant when we started all of this. It was just something, we knew that people needed legal help. So we thought that that was a great place to start. And we partnered with the clerk of the court to create what was called by the county commissioners, the Jeffrey R. Smith, our previous clerk of court, Access to Justice Self-Help Center. So we opened that in 2023. And what that does is allows people to be able to navigate the legal system on their own. They can find the forms they need. They can look through the law library, but they can also be connected with, we have 14 local attorneys who volunteer for a legal consultation. So they can Zoom with an attorney in the areas of family and civil law. So if they're looking for custody information, divorce, eviction, small claims, things like that, they can represent themselves, and it really empowers them to save the money on legal fees and also be able to just solve their problem without the complexity of really going through a full trial. So if they, need help navigating, we have staff that can connect them with the right forms. But if they really want to take it a step further, they can do that legal consultation with an attorney.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Most people are terrified when they find themselves in some kind of legal situation, whether it's a family custody battle or a civil matter or various things. We just don't know. You're trotting along in life, and then whoops, I tripped, I fell, something happened, and now you got to get up, and you might find yourself in that very situation. And I know me personally, I'd be like, I don't know what I'm going to do. What am I going to do next?
Now, as far as the access to justice, how can people access these attorneys?
Great question. So I also want to go back to people are intimidated, right? Trying to navigate the legal system can be scary. So while our first self-help center is located in the courthouse, we also opened self-help centers at the United Against Poverty Center, at the IG Center down south on Oslo, and up in Fellsmere.
Oh, wow.
So they're embedded in communities where it's a little lower barrier to access. They don't need to go in the courthouse because that can also be intimidating.
Yes.
So we have kiosks that are populated with all of the forms that I'm referencing in family and in civil affairs. People can access those kiosks online 24/7, or they can go to those locations during business hours and go through the kiosk on their own. Or they can meet with the self-help center staff for a one-on-one form review at any of the locations. They're staffed at various days of the week. But then if they're interested in scheduling the attorney consultation, they can schedule it themselves through the Access to Justice website, which is a2jirc.org, or through the United Way website. They all connect. They can schedule it themselves, or they can go through the Access to Justice Self-Help Center staff. We have wonderful staff, Anna and Nancy, and they can help people who may not be as technologically savvy schedule that attorney consultation.
And when it comes to these consultations, is there a cost?
So it is $1 a minute, because we want to make sure that the client or the customer has a little skin in the game. We want to make sure they show up for the consultation because these attorneys are generously volunteering, a block of their day, an hour of time, 2 hours time, whatever it may be. So we don't want to waste their time that they've set aside. So this really ensures that the client will show up. And then it also is a little bit of a revenue generator for the program.
I like that. I do believe that people are more accountable when they invest some sweat equity into the program or the process themselves. I think that's great.
And how long do these consultations normally last?
So you can do a 15-minute, 20-minute, you pay by the minute, but up to 60 minutes.
Okay. And as far as the impact that it's had in the community, how, what have been the results?
So I just looked at the numbers. We have served 3,500 clients since we opened in 2023, September of 2023.
Say that again?
So since September of 2023, so we're coming up on 2 years, we have served 3,500 clients.
Wow.
So that really goes to show that this was an unmet need in our community.
That is definitely a key indicator.
Yeah.
Those are big numbers.
Of that over 3,000 people that have served, there's been about 400 attorney consultations. So not everybody needs or wants an attorney consultation.
Some people can follow.
So it really
the
shows, it's kind of the shallow end and then the deeper end as people really get more complex. But we're also seeing some, you as an attorney will know this, some judicial efficiency. It's really speeding up the time that cases are seen and a verdict is found. So it helps people, it cuts down on the burden of the judicial system if judges don't have to keep sending those forms back to get changed, to get updated. If they're done right the first time through the help of the Access to Justice staff, then it increases the efficiency of the whole process.
And that's what we have seen, or the judges have seen, because we've had a bar event where they kind of explained how some people don't want to hire an attorney, but they need help. Mm-hmm. And they, these people are intelligent. They can do things on their own. They just need a little bit of direction. Mm-hmm. So this Access to Justice has given them that and has obviously made the court system a lot more efficient because there are hundreds of cases every year that get filed, and there's only so many judges. So the fact that there is this program to cut down on the waste helps out not only the individuals, but also us attorneys and the judges to get things that we need done. So it not only helps the community who needs it, it also helps the attorney community and the judges to be more effective at their job.
Sure, it slows down that bottleneck effect from where those that have to keep coming back because they're not prepared or they're not ready with the right documentations, where you come back for mediation, all these different steps that maybe could have been prevented or put on the right path if they'd been at one of the kiosks. I love that the individuals come at different levels. And as you pointed out, that the judges say, sometimes you just need that little guidance and the right document in front of you, and you're capable of taking it from there. So I have to say that we often have conversations with individuals in my role where they are looking for care, but they just need a question answered. And they're terrified to call an attorney's office because I don't have $1,000 to just find out one answer. Mm-hmm. And so this is such a great resource for our community members that may actually guide them back to an attorney that's part of the program, or they may find that they don't need that actual level of education and experience to be in front of the judge, and that you all are like simplifying it in common terms and direction for those. It's a small amount of the population, I'm sure, but just the same with 3,000 over those years, obviously a sizable enough to be identified and provide that need. I am so impressed with United Way, and congratulations on your new role, Raul.
Thank you.
That's going to be one more hour out of his month. He always tells me how I suck up his time. So thank you, Meredith, for joining us, and Raul for joining them and being part of our community and impacting it in so many ways. $3 million invested back into every resident. We're grateful. We are grateful as a community.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we look forward to continuing to promote what you all are doing in our community.
I appreciate it.
All right. On that note, we'll see you next week. We look forward to exposing all the wonderful things here on the Treasure Coast in Indian River County. See you next time. Silver linings.